This is Major. I'm on site.
I don't know. Okay, I'm going to a happy place. I'm going to my happy place. I'm trying to think exactly. Well, I mean, I think I always learn something about myself when I'm working, and it's usually, what my boundary is, or some feeling of self-consciousness or embarrassment, or I don't know, all these things that you kind of go, oh yeah, that makes me uncomfortable. I'm going to sit in that for a while, like 5.5 months. But I mean, it definitely confirmed what I already knew and kind of continue to strive for, is to work alongside a director that is really your creative partner. It's so important to feel that when you go into something, and whenever I haven't exactly had that connection with somebody, it's really, it makes the job just difficult in a not good way. You know what I mean? This film was difficult in a good way, and Rupert and I both had a lot of challenging moments and conversations, and trying to, and with all of the actors trying to figure out how to make a scene work, or what is missing from a scene or whatever. But it's so important, that partnership, to work with a director who has a vision for something, and loves performances and loves talking to actors, and will take time to rehearse something, and doesn't, Rupert tirelessly worked until something was right and never settled for something. And I think it just confirmed my belief that those are really important things when you move forward or commit to a project, to have that.
You are the first of your kind, but you're not invulnerable.
Maybe next time you can design me better.
There was just a visual language that I really inspired me. The story, I felt, was actually more relevant today than it was all that way back. I mean, Shiro really imagined an internet and a network long before there was such a thing. So it was kind of the Nostradamus of the sci-fi realm. And then I got together with these lovely people, and we made it happen.
Everyone around me, they feel connected to something. Connected to something I'm not.
En fait, au départ, quand j'ai lu le scénario, quand Rupert m'a contacté, j'ai absolument rien compris. Parce que les codes, le vocabulaire, l'univers, enfin vraiment, j'avais pas d'entrée possible. Et je l'ai dit à Rupert que je pensais que c'était pas vraiment possible. Et en fait, il m'a dit don't give up on me, ne me lâche pas. Je vais revenir, je vais te convaincre et tout. Et il est revenu 3 fois d'ailleurs. Et à un moment donné, il m'a fait. J'ai eu le plaisir de parler au téléphone avec la nouvelle scénariste qui allait s'occuper de ces scènes-là, parce que ce rapport entre Major et Dr. Roulet, il fallait le créer. Il n'était pas encore né dans le scénario, parce que en fait, ce qui s'est passé souvent dans le tournage, c'est que Rupert continuait à travailler comme une œuvre en mouvement pendant le tournage. C'était pas juste défini comme ça peut être parfois, comme le scénario est fini et on tourne le scénario, mais du fait du travail des 3D qui va être fait en post-production, il y avait une espèce de mouvance qui est rare sur les tournages, que j'ai trouvé intéressante. Et puis après, quand je suis venue en Nouvelle-Zélande, j'étais très excitée à l'idée de travailler avec Scarlett et de créer ce rapport, avec des sentiments maternels, mais à la fois complexes, parce que quand même mon personnage est loin d'être rose. mais avec le retournement de situation. Donc c'était excitant parce que c'était difficile, complexe, et puis il faut apprendre à se connaître, mais dans l'ensemble il y avait une belle marche vers une création commune.
Words like violence break the silence.
So, I don't know, it's hard to exactly pinpoint because it was kind of a process to get from the first offer and then how far we came to actually being in New Zealand and shooting it. It wasn't immediately apparent that this film could be kind of lifted and I don't want to say from the anime, but you know, sort of. It wasn't immediately apparent that a live action format would fit this story. I mean, the animation stands alone, and it's such a beautiful piece that just the idea of replacing it seemed, you know, like nothing that I would have nothing to really contribute to that. So it was sort of about, for me, the anime is it's poetic and introspective, but it's also kind of cold, and I didn't really know how to enter into the character exactly, but it haunted me. The property haunted me, and when I met with Rupert, and he had been working on these visuals for a couple of years probably at that point, I don't know, he had a beautiful, huge deck of work that he put together. You need it all good? All good. Okay. You know, it was, and I started to kind of talk to him about how we could how this film could become character-driven. You know, the conversations happened over, you know, a period, I don't know, probably like a year or whatever, but at some point we were I was kind of emotionally committed to the character, and then there comes that time where you kind of look over at the other person and you're like, are we gonna do this, or what are we gonna do? Like, I guess, kind of like take the next. It's like moving in together, kind of, and then we did. We formed a creative partnership, and I think it was from that partnership that that everything grew, really.
For me, it's always wonderful to take on a big challenge, but it's always an extremely loved character. Ghost in the Shell is along up there with Akira. It's one of the greatest mangas ever created. It has such a history, and to be part of this film felt like being part of history because we had good fun and it was enjoyable. But what attracted me about big guy, I think it was that, you know, in Denmark we have the dogma movement, right, in the 90s, and that kind of created everything for us. And the films that I've been doing the last couple of years are like based on the dogma rules. So I felt it's always wonderful to do an homage to some great artists, and in this case, Oshii and Shiro.
Ghost in the Shell, I discovered it kind of like Rupert from artists, a lot of art school kids when I was a teenager. It was the first time that I saw an animation film that was for adults. But it was very underground. It was Japanimation, which now I know from talking to people's children is it's not uncommon for an American or a French child to say that they love manga or they draw manga. It was very underground when I was a teenager. I knew Rupert. He asked me to do it. I knew he was serious, so I said yes. Scarlett made a film called Under the Skin, or Under Her Skin, which I found to be an extremely authentic film.
I don't know who to trust.
You trust me, right?
Stephen Hawking said that AI was the greatest and the last human achievement. And I think we have to parent technology. I think it's very important. We are creating our own future, so it's really up to us whether we get superseded by technology. Very few safeguards are actually in place, and people like Elon Musk, who are at the forefront of technology, are raising their hand and saying when people started to clone the sheep, governments across the world got together and said this has to be regulated, and technology is not really, and especially in the AI. I was speaking to someone who works in this realm, and they were telling me about the self-driving cars that will, in a car crash situation, they will understand how they might have to kill their owner in order to save 5 people in another car, or someone carrying a younger person will survive and the older person will die. So AI is already being programmed to make decisions, mortal decisions, and these things are being done really without regulation, and tech companies have become so powerful that they are, in a way, they are governments unto themselves.
What a beauty you are.
Started to study, to prepare for this role, I started to study science and spirituality. Those two things, because for me, Ghost in the Shell it's the mind and the body, and essentially what is the soul. And so I was surprised to find that in science we're, at least for me, much closer than I thought to what Ghost in the Shell is about. I mean, we're making microscopic robots. There's already, I believe at Berkeley, I read a study that they've already hooked the brain up to the internet, where the computer is memorizing patterns in the brain, and basically you think of the Mona Lisa, and the computer goes on the internet and finds a picture of the Mona Lisa. So we're very close, and but what I love about Ghost in the Shell is that it's asking that question. It's a very important question to ask, as Rupert brings up, because there's no regulation.